Her character represented a woman of resilience, a woman of faith, and a woman of courage. And what I have found so fascinating is that the women who choose WWIN have those same characteristics: resilience, faith, and courage.
So my mother started WWIN after she had a battle with cancer and she had divorced. I think it brought her back to when she was younger and a single mom and realized the struggles that she had when she was that age. Not only was she thinking about herself as a young single mother, but I think she was also thinking of her own mom, who was a single mom with 4 kids, and how difficult that life was. What really drove her was just that feeling of, I've really been blessed. It's time to give back to the community that gave so much to me.
In the 19 years that I had time with her, just know her as Julia L. Pritt led me to not ask what her middle initial was. I never knew what that was. And realizing at her memorial service that her middle name was Love. I maybe didn't need to know what that L stood for because she lived it out. She lived out her middle name.
Julia has a very big heart and a very open heart, and I know I got to experience that personally because here my children were coming in, I think they were 8 and 10 at the time, and she treated them no differently than she would treat her own, and she treated me no differently than she would treat one of her daughters. I think from Julia, it was the first person in my life I really got to feel and experience unconditional love. Now I'm going to get emotional. But she was a very, very loving, very giving person.
I remember several meetings with her. Each year as we went over the budget, she went through line by line each expense and would ask about what we planned to spend in that particular area and could we spend a little bit less. I was pleased to report back to her at the end of each year that the operating expenses that we had for that particular year were less than what we had budgeted, and that's been the case for every single year that I've been involved with the organization.
It was important to Julia that the money people donated would go directly to the women so that people could feel much more of a connection and that their money was going directly to help change lives. And so I know it was very important for Julia to support all the day-to-day operating costs of running WWIN, and that is something my husband and I have taken over since Julia passed, so that to this day still any money donated to WWIN goes directly to the women.
She always wanted to create an aura of self-determination and responsibility. So she always wanted people to be responsible for their own actions and be responsible for their own direction. So I think she led that way, and she created WWIN to be that way too.
I try really hard to run an organization that really sticks to the values and the principles that Julia had, making sure that we supported the empowerment of women and their choices. Every time we have a difficult decision to make, we really try to think, what would Julia want us to do? And so she still very much lives on with us. Often I hear from grantees that just to have someone say, I believe in you so much that I'm willing to invest money in your future. It was the first time that anyone in their life has ever believed in them.
Every life touches so many other lives, and every child raised by that mom that gets help will be a different person.
They see their mom accomplish all these things, and they know that they can do it, and now they have more resources to be able to do it as well.
The trickle-down effect of that affects generation after generation, and we've seen that in a lot of the lives of the women from past grants, and we can see how it's affected their children.
It's also an opportunity to recognize that there are 6,000 women out there who have been inspired by all of our supporters, but who also inspire us every day in everything that they've accomplished in their lives.
You know, I've thought of what would Julia say if she were here? I know she's here. I think she would just be in awe and say, wow, I am so grateful.
In a very real way, she lives through her family and she lives through this organization.
I believe that is that her starting of WWIN was based on the experience of touching people's hearts, donors' hearts, board members' hearts, and grantees' hearts. And when hearts and lives are changed, an organization lasts, and I expect WWIN to last forever.